All right, everybody. This is the Pro Zone, the second night in a row. Another good show. This is Rick Del Santo. Joining me on this Sunday night. I'd like to say it's our Sunday night regulars. I mean, we are the Sunday night regulars, but we're missing somebody. JJ is on hiatus for, I don't know, some holiday. So it's me, DVD Freak, and Dan. Gentlemen, how was your Sunday?
Boring.
I've been drinking all day.
I love that. I started while I watched Clash of Champions. I started literally 2 hours before we recorded. And it's like an hour and 53 minutes with all the commercials cut out.
Yep.
Excuse me. So I started drinking around the beginning. I had some pizza. And my Sunday, it's the first Sunday I've had off in months, and I was in my glory. However, I ended up running a bunch of errands and didn't end up getting home until like fucking 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was kind of upsetting. No, it wasn't that upsetting, but I went on another DVD hunt to find WWE DVDs in the Dollar Tree, and I found bullshit, nothing.
Yeah, I gave up on that.
I don't know. JJ just found a couple, didn't he? So
yeah, well, fuck him. I want the Dollar Tree DVDs. Damn it.
He lives out in Chicago. I mean,
yeah.
So I mean, and that's a major city, you know. So
yeah.
So they've got to come here somewhere. I got to find them. I got one more tomorrow that I'm going to check out. So if not, then I may give up. But I'm never going to give up. I'm that kind of an idiot. So before we get rolling on what we're talking about, sad news is John Riker, a.k.a. Ralph, has passed away today of, Chris Jericho's head of security. Nobody remembers? So, anyways.
Shall we take a sip?
Yes, let's take a swig. Dan downing the gallon of water.
You just drink them by the gallon? Like,
I don't see anything wrong with that, but
yeah,
it's good. Tonight we're talking Clash of the Champions 5, subtitled St. Valentine's Massacre. February 15th, 1989, in my opinion, the greatest year for professional wrestling. Literally. Then the NWA was fucking on fire.
And not to mention this event was brought to you by DVD Freak's favorite beer, Coors Light.
Coors Light, that's right.
They even had it on the turnbuckles.
They did, and I thought that was the funny part about this. I watched this live as a kid, and I never picked up on that until I was watching it. 5,000 in attendance at the UIC. Nope, I'm sorry. It was at the Cleveland Convention Center in Cleveland, Ohio. That's a beautiful building. I love the way it's set up in the rafters, the upper tiers. I watched the network edition. So, of course, when I watch the network edition of certain things, specifically NWA shows, when the Midnight Express come out and they're not using the Midnight Express theme, it really pisses me off. And then the Road Warriors come out later to some generic network music, and that's fucking annoying as well. And I could swear, and I said this to Dan, I think, earlier, that the VHS copy that I had for about 20 years was better quality of this. If you're watching it on the network, it keeps skipping or flipping here and there. It's very...
Yeah,
it
definitely showed some... It shows some glitching during like the first match, as obviously they copied it from VHS or whatever onto the network. But.
The master, yeah, but like I said, the one that I had recorded off TV, I don't think I ever had any issues with. So I was just thing for over 20 years.
I was just gonna ask how many of these events were actually on VHS?
They actually released, I believe, the first 3 or 4. After that, they never released anymore on video. And I think that, NWA back in the day, they used to severely edit their home videos as well. It wasn't until later on, like the later 90s, that they would release the entire events on video. So yeah, if you look on like eBay or something like that, you're more than likely to be able to find them. But they used to be really pricey, but really hard to find as well. Like this, I think either the first two or first three. I don't think the fourth one ever was put out. So, anyways, this is basically centered around the next week, the following week, Chi-Town Rumble, 5 days away, and the Flair Steamboat feud, which is possibly one of the hottest feuds in the NWA or in wrestling in 1989. So we start off with,
or just history.
Yeah, of course. So we start off with the Midnight Express as baby faces with Jim Cornette and against the Russian Assassins. Who was the? I know Russian Assassin number 1 was Jack Victory. Who's nope, wait, maybe he was number 2 according to what I'm looking at now.
Yeah, I think Jack Victory was number 2. Number 1, from what I read, was Angel of Death.
Angel of Death. Yep, he was in like World Class and UWF. So yeah, he was quite the talented guy. He died really young too.
So and you know what? You know, when they started off this match, when they did the whole introductions for the Russian Assassins, what I kind of found weird was they announced them from Kilos, Russia, and they announced their weight by pounds. Like, wouldn't you announce the Russians by kilos?
Just about every Russian wrestler I ever saw, yeah, I believe did that.
I mean, it's probably like a spoof too because they're not actually fucking Russian. But other than that, I mean, here you are having Jack Victory doing a double duty here tonight. And you know what? I'm not even going to lie. This match was okay for what it was. I mean, I know that there was like some parts of this match that was cut off. Even though Beautiful Bobby and Sweet Stan were mainly in control early on due to their superior wrestling and their quick tags.
Hey, don't knock the Russian Assassins.
I'm not knocking.
Uh-oh.
You know, but you're talking. Listen, I'm not knocking the Russian Assassins, but this was really during a time where they were using like generic masked wrestlers as just jokes and jobbers at this point. And also, this was around the point, you know, you had Paulie Dangerously in his prime, cutting a promo, promoting the Chi-Town Rumble, which I would have to say this pay-per-view did promote the pay-per-view very, very well.
It's very well. I like how he jumps on and says that, you know, the real Midnight Express is Dennis Condrey and Randy Rose, which is actually true. I think it was Bobby Eaton that replaced Randy Rose, or it was kind of like a faction in the beginning, sort of. They used to be like intertwined, but then I think Randy Rose left, so it was Condrey and Eaton. But I like this match a lot, and the crowd is really into the Midnight Express's baby faces here.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this was leading up to a what was it, like a 6-man loser leaves NWA match. It was supposed to be Paulie Dangerously and the original Express taking on Jim Cornette's version of the Express.
Right.
But unfortunately, that didn't come about because Dennis Condrey ended up leaving the promotion about a couple days before the actual event and was replaced by Jack Victory.
Jack Victory. He was a good hand, I guess, at the time. Because I remember it's Jack Victory and Randy Rose, and then Randy Rose stuck around for a while as pretty much preliminary talent, you know. My favorite line from Paulie Dangerously during this is like he calls Jim Cornette Pee Wee Herman with a Norman Bates complex, and it just shows like the time period this is, you know, and it's like Paulie's like brilliance, you know.
Definitely, and I like the roles that the managers were playing too. Obviously, the managers got in on some of the action, even though Paul Jones looked like he was having a heat stroke, you know. But
he was old back.
Jim
Cornette, was old back then, yeah.
Right, and I like the fact that Jim Cornette, he hits one of the assassins with the bracket, and he does this little Ric Flair strut at the end. I thought was pretty funny. But the Midnight Express, they won with the oh my gosh, what the fuck's the name of that move? The rocket launcher for the win.
Yep.
You know, I mean, pretty pretty okay match for what it was. I mean, like I said, most of this pay-per-view was based off of top-tier superstars against jobbers. So these matches were practically somewhat squash matches, but extended.
Yeah, there was definitely this one more had a preliminary match type feel to it than previous clashes. I mean, well, we'll get into that a little bit later on some of these guys that are actually show up as preliminary guys on this show. So,
and I don't know if you guys noticed, but anybody else noticed that Stan Lane looks like a midget version of Lex Luger?
I always did think that they looked similar. Yeah, growing up.
You know this. Go ahead.
Oh. I always thought Stan Lane was the better wrestler. So.
Well, yeah, but we all know I'm not a big Lex Luger fan. But
yeah,
this match, it's exactly what an opening match should do. Get the crowd into it. It had a lot of heat, especially when the managers got involved. It's a good heat match that gets the crowd going. Gets them excited for the rest of the event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like this match a lot. This shows that. I mean, like I said a couple minutes ago, the crowd was really, really behind the Midnight Express as baby faces, and I don't know exactly what happened here as to why, however long down the road they ended up turning back heel, but I don't remember exactly. But it was a fun match. I thought this was, like you said, it's a perfect opening match. It was a lot of fun. Gentlemen.
All right, so...
All right,
as we proceed, so
the
we
next
have
match
Butch Reed taking on
Stephen Casey. Stephen Casey, the younger brother. That's okay. The younger brother of Scott Casey, Cowboy Scott Casey. You guys see who the referee was?
Teddy Long.
Yep.
Good old Teddy Long when he had the bad hair and.
He was balding and he just had the hair, the dome, the chrome
dome.
It
looked like a clown wig.
Yeah, and it kind of was curled in the back and long, kind of like a mullet in a way. But Stephen Casey actually ended up having a really good run later on in the Global Wrestling Federation, and was it World Class or USWA? I remember it was from the Sportatorium. I'm trying to remember my time periods, but he ended up changing his name to Stephen Dane. I always thought he was a very underrated wrestler, and I don't really remember seeing him much in the NWA other than this match at the time. And I was watching the NWA pretty heavily at the time. I don't, but he was just kind of like those typical enhancement talent type guys that was just kind of overly muscular, kind of. You get what I'm saying? Like the guys that just got the shit kicked out of them, but they look like just muscle guys.
Yeah.
But I thought this was an enjoyable match, and it actually went 17 minutes long. So they gave him time to really have a good match with Butch Reed.
To get 17 minutes in a technically 2.5 hour broadcast, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Dan?
You know what? I thought this match really went a bit too long. I mean, there were some cases where Butch Reed was really showing off, stalling to the crowd, stalling his opponents. And then these guys, were basically exchanging back and forth, armbar moves, which, nothing against that because it's classic wrestling. Limb targeting is classic wrestling. You pick a body part and you work on it. But I just felt like it was just an ongoing process. And there was times during the match where Casey was, driving his knee into Butch's arm and he looked like he wasn't even selling it. So how do you come from being natural Butch Reed from the WWF, and this was right around the time that he just left from the WWE.
He had just returned to the NWA. He was hot off his leading WWE, off his WWE run, WWF, excuse me, and just returning to the NWA. This might have been one of his earliest matches, returning to the NWA actually.
Right, because he just competed at WrestleMania 4, so you're thinking a couple months down the road, he would just resurge back into the NWA. But I found it really sad that, Butch Reed never really got as much a singles run, a successful singles run, as a couple months later, he would actually be teamed up with Ron Simmons and managed by the referee in this match, Theodore Long. And the one thing about these type of events back in the day, obviously they were more focused on the crowd. And, they basically just blare the camera to the couple making out. And, you got JR like, oh, isn't that nice?
Do you think that was set up?
I don't know. They kept focusing on a lot of people in the crowd, especially like the women in the crowd, the young women in the crowd. Then you got the goofball with like the pubic hair on his upper lip and the freaking Metallica shirt. It's just it's this show is so 1989 by looking at the crowd. It's 1989 that I remember.
And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that.
No. It was one of my favorite time periods. This is my favorite year for professional wrestling in 1989.
But you know what? I mean, I think Hackshaw, he definitely displayed, some impressive strength when he caught the crossbody and got him up in the gorilla press, and then he goes up to the top, hits him with a flying shoulder block, which JR dubs as the bomb, which I have no idea where the fuck that came from. And you know what? Butch Reed, he looked good, and I think it would have looked even better if there was like 10 minutes shaved off from this match, because I think this match went on a little bit too long.
Yeah, this is a match you probably should have seen on like a house show or something, to go that long. Give these guys that amount of time on a house show.
And I mean, you're looking at Stephen Casey too. I mean, obviously throughout the duration of the match, he's basically targeting one body part, which is the arm.
Yeah.
And the one big move that he's basically pulling off is a drop kick. What does that prove?
Yeah, I think the guy was really talented. It's just was this supposed to be a tryout match? Because like I said, I don't remember seeing him ever again in NWA. I'd have to look that up and see, like YouTube, and see if there's any other Stephen Casey matches from. But the crowd's behind him. The crowd has not died down yet during this particular match. The crowd's pretty into this match as well.
And you know what? Now that you've said that, I believe Steve Casey probably did do some time in the USWA only because he's originated from Texas.
He is from Texas, yeah. But I remember, also Global was from there as well. And I remember, I'm just trying to remember the time period because I remember him leaving the NWA. That might have been when the USWA took over the Sportatorium that time. So he might have been over there. I don't think he was in World Class. The next segment is a pretty fucking impressive segment. The Ric Flair interview. Bob Caudle is interviewing him. Flair is on his game during this interview. He's perfect. He comes out in the mink coat, the fur coat, whatever. Calls out Steamboat. He insults him. He wants Steamboat to go home and help the missus with the dishes. I literally burst out laughing when Flair said this. He was just on his game, like cutting on Steamboat, cutting on all that stuff. He was making fun of Steamboat's marriage and stuff like that. And coincidentally, however many years later, I believe Steamboat's not even married to that same woman anymore. So.
Yeah, he's like, you go home to the same woman every night, and then look at me. Yeah. He has fucking like 4 or 5 women surrounding him. Mm-hmm. This is a good example why I don't know about you guys, but whenever someone asks me, who do you think is the greatest of all time, I always say Flair. Yeah. As a full package, it's always Flair.
Yeah.
And this is one of those segments you want to show him to prove that he's the greatest of all time. Mm-hmm. On the mic. And, it's such an iconic rivalry, him and Steamboat. Even Ric Flair said this is his greatest opponent. And it's like,
I think he's right. I mean, those are probably the best matches of Flair's career that I ever enjoyed.
Yeah, it's magic on screen. You're literally witnessing magic. And just the little nuances. Flair knew how to work a crowd. He knew how to work a promo. Just these it's the little things that matter. And he just, beat for beat, greatest of all time.
Well, I'll tell you what. this classic angle was a highlight of the classic Flair Steamboat feud that, raged throughout the first half of 1989 and firmly established, the contrast between the two characters. And the way I see it, this was such a defining moment because both guys were essentially portraying themselves as they really were. And, this angle was told, throughout the whole story. And, I've written this down. I've probably shared it with the DVD Freak because, sooner down the line, we're going to be doing a video on our top 5 favorite matches of all time. And by far, out of the trilogy, Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat at Chi-Town Rumble is my favorite Flair Steamboat match.
Where would that rank all time for you?
Well,
like your personal list.
My personal list, probably number 2.
Really? Yeah. I don't think I could do a favorite matches of all time list, like top 5, because it changes all the time.
Yeah.
It's just, especially anytime I go out there and watch Daniel Bryan embarrass anybody else he's in the ring with, So it's like stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it could change all the time.
Yeah, my list usually consists of Chris Benoit, taking up half the list. So and Bret Hart.
I can go through and probably make if I put down a list of top 100 matches a person that does not like wrestling watches, just to see if that'll get him into wrestling. Probably Chris Benoit beat everywhere. Arn Anderson would be everywhere. Bryan Danielson, Bret and Owen, stuff like that.
Well, speaking of Bret and Owen, despite Owen being my favorite, obviously that match is the top tier of my list. But when it comes to favorite matches, surprisingly, I don't have a lot of Owen matches. Most of my matches consist of Ric Flair and The Undertaker.
The Undertaker?
Yeah, I don't think Taker appears on my list at all.
I don't think he would ever appear on mine.
I would say
it's just his style that I'm not particularly a fan.
Well,
like I said, as an entertainer, he's very capable, but his style I'm not necessarily into.
What's your favorite Taker match then, Dan? Where would he appear?
Against Kamala.
Yeah. Well, John Gonzalez.
All right.
Well, the 2 matches that stand out for Undertaker are both WrestleMania matches, and both of those matches are him versus Flair at WrestleMania 18, which obviously is another one of my favorite Flair matches, and the other one would be him versus Batista at WrestleMania 23 because he made Batista look good, and that was probably one of Batista's best matches up to that date.
And that's hard to do, so.
I was going to say.
Good for him. He deserves a medal for that one.
Right.
Cheers.
And you know what? Unfortunately, with this segment, this wouldn't be the last time we would see Ric Flair in his underwear. So,
no, he got stripped down, the $1,500 suit, his $2,000 was a gator skin shoes. How much was that watch he had? I don't remember, but that was the pricing that he makes up off the top of his head is such bullshit. Get the fuck out of here.
The entire segment, or at least the first half, I was just wondering in my head, how many of those girls did he fuck that night?
That's the funny part. It's just you look at him, he's probably 40-something years old at that time, right? It's just, it's hilarious because those girls are probably all in their 20s. So he's probably double their age. And he's just, hey. So I thought it was funny. This is probably the best moment on this show, to be honest with you.
I loved it.
Yeah. Lex Luger defeats the Blackmailer with Hiro Matsuda. I love this Blackmailer gimmick. It's Jack Victory yet again, pulling double duty. I wonder if he got paid double for working twice in the same night.
I want to see why not. And you know what's so funny? Those same Blackmailer tights that he was wearing in this match, he would actually wear at the Chi-Town Rumble in that tag team match.
That's very interesting. Very
So
interesting. My other thing is
maybe
like
people caught on.
my other thing is how many times did the blackmailer appear? I have no fucking clue because another one, just like Stephen Casey, I don't think I ever saw him again after this,
Right.
or before. And he was with Hiro Matsuda as well. So Hiro Matsuda was big time in the NWA at this time.
Yeah, because he was replacing J.J. Dillon, who had just departed for the WWE. Wasn't he working? I thought he was doing talent relations.
An office position, yeah. Yep.
Right. But
standard match. It's nothing. It's a standard Luger match. Jack Victory is probably the more entertaining part of this match.
Well,
but the crowd is behind Luger. That's the other thing.
And you know what? Let's put it this way: this was dull and pointless, despite the attempt at a backstory. Because obviously, how Luger won this match was sending his message across to Barry Windham with winning with a superplex or suplex from the top turnbuckle.
Yep.
So, but
throughout the whole race,
throughout the whole duration of the match, he looks like, he was having like a roid rage hype. He's getting all hyped up for no reason. No selling Jack Victory's offense, which is practically basically right. Yeah,
you don't know who that is under the mask.
You're right.
Anyways, it's just this match is just there.
Like literally, I almost fell asleep.
Yeah.
All he was doing was just putting him in the headlock.
Yeah. Well, that was most of Luger's freaking arsenal was fucking the headlock and clothesline and a press slam. He didn't know how to do an arm drag. I mean, I think I saw him attempt a body cross at one time. It looked like he was going to break himself in half.
You know what I want to do? I want to put Lex Luger on a random road and then run him over with the Lex Express. Back and forth, over and over again, until you can't recognize who he is.
I can't recognize who he is.
Well, yeah, I don't even know how that fucker's still alive. But hey, Miss Elizabeth isn't, so fuck you. But anyway, yeah, I'm not a Lex Luger fan at all.
Anyway, so the other guy, the United States Tag Team Championship match, which I was really looking forward to this match because the amount of talent is in this fucking ring. It was okay. The Varsity Club of Mike Rotunda and Dr. Death Steve Williams took on the Fantastics, and I am a huge Tommy Rogers fan. Man, that guy could fucking work. And the Fantastics, I think, they're just not a tag team that are really remembered in this day and age, like that much. They're just a great fucking tag team, man. And they were fucking, at one time, they were like one of the most popular tag teams of the 80s with World Class and NWA. Even UWF, too, so.
Right. And you know what? The thing about this, though, the Fantastics offense was practically disabled because obviously it was just trying to make Dr. Death look good and superior.
Right. And they've wrestled him many times, like going back to like UWF. They're trying to. Steve Williams is actually just in the NWA for probably not more than a year, because I think he came over when Crockett Promotions bought UWF out from under Bill Watts, and he came in and then he disappeared for a little while, and then he came back, and they were really trying to build him up here, and then he ended up taking off and going to Japan probably just a few months in. They tried to build him as a babyface too after the Varsity Club split up, and it didn't really take.
Right.
So anyways, the Varsity Club retains the titles, and I thought that Mike Rotunda was two thumbs up. Mike Rotunda
was phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought he was phenomenal here. It's like sometimes you forget how good Mike Rotunda is in the ring.
Well, it's because a lot of people recognize him as IRS, which is a shame. It's a damn shame.
Speaking of fucking holy shit, Steve Williams is on my TV right now. That's so fucking weird. So, but against Mike Rotunda. Holy shit. This is weird. This is in WCW in 1991. I think it was Michael Wall Street at the time. So
that's a glitch in the Matrix right there.
Yeah, there you go. So
and JR basically lays out the story in this match too. Pointing out that the Fantastics never been submitted, so obviously the Varsity Club were planning on using a submission hold to win this match.
Right, that's what they kept referring to throughout the whole entire thing. The thing about Mike Rotunda is he was a fantastic worker. He's one of those guys that he was kind of bland a little bit, but he was phenomenal in ring. And then to try to get him over, they just kept giving him stupid gimmick after stupid gimmick in WCW. The Varsity Club, I thought the Varsity Club was fucking perfect. It was a phenomenal gimmick in my eyes.
Yeah, he's not the most exciting person in the world, but personally, myself, I prefer in-ring talent over character. As long as you're good in the ring, it's like Chris Benoit. He never had the personality that much. He was never that great on a promo, but when he was in that ring, he delivered. And that's why we're watching wrestling for the most part. I prefer in-ring talent over character and personality. A lot of people aren't.
I like the excitement. I'm not into stupid gimmicks like the fucking New Day and shit like that.
God.
I tried to come up with something off the top of my head, and
that's you did good.
Yeah. Good. Anyways, I thought this match the fans were not totally into it, but I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was pretty good. It seemed like the fans had died down a little bit from not that much excitement. So, anyways, Ricky Steamboat took on Bob the Cat Bradley, former world-class Texas heavyweight champion. I'm a huge Bob Bradley fan. But he was in NWA for just like a brief period of time. Then he showed up in WWF as preliminary talent. I thought he was a phenomenal wrestler. He really was. I thought this was a pretty decent match against Steamboat. You go back and watch his stuff in World Class in Texas and stuff like that. He was actually a really good wrestler. I don't ever know what ever happened to this guy. I've been trying to find him for years, but there's really no information because Bob Bradley is a pretty fucking common name.
Right. And you know what? This match was only about around 6 minutes, but it wasn't a bad match. But Steamboat's match was in his selling, and it looked laughable for, the number one contenders, ship at the time, because obviously you're trying to make Ricky look good. Other than that, like I said, during, the whole duration of the show, this was practically, a jobber course type of field, but obviously with extended minutes.
Yeah. It was like, remember how WWF used to do those specials when there was a big pay-per-view coming up? Like, say SummerSlam was coming up, and they would do, like, the USA Network SummerSlam special or SummerSlam Meltdown or whatever the fuck you want to call it, where it'd be, like, 2 hours of preliminary matches and, like, 2 or 3 matches with, the main guys. And it's like, that's what this felt like, this particular Clash of the Champions.
Well, you got to legitimize the next pay-per-view, and a lot of that is putting over the talent that's going to be on that pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So, I think it's a little... I think, honestly, the promo with Flair should have been saved for after Steamboat's match, just from a pacing standpoint.
See, yeah, that's the other thing I was thinking about as well. It's like, it just, like, Steamboat comes out in his gear, ready for his match, which is, like, 3 segments down. And it doesn't make much sense to have him, and then it's like you heard Magnum TA reference, he's got the welts on his chest, from earlier altercation with Flair. I was like, it probably should have been later in the evening.
Well, what you could do is have Flair come out right after the match and basically just bully him after his match.
Yeah. Right.
And, just cut a promo on him right after his match, and that's more of a heel thing to do. Just come out and take his glory, and just steal the moment that he had this match, and then you just come out, instantly steal it, and then cut this great promo, and then of course have the in-ring scuffle.
Yeah, I mean, I could pretty much say the same thing.
So after that, Rick Steiner had recently turned babyface, left the Varsity Club, and he was tired of Mike Rotunda bullying him and all that stuff. He's the world television champion. I always liked how Rick, I fucked it up again. Rick Steiner used to wear his belts. He used to wear his belts backwards, and he used to have his friend Alex. He used to talk to his friend Alex. And the thing with Rick Morgan is, I always thought Rick Morgan was one of those guys that never really got a shot. I always thought he was pretty good when he was with the Sheepherders, and they ended up teaming him up with Jack Victory. He's a very popular guy tonight, Jack Victory, as the New Zealand Militia, so he stuck around for quite a while, a couple of years at least, in the NWA/WCW, and I always thought he was pretty talented, but he, this is a typical squash match. It's just under 5 minutes, and the one thing, I love Steiner. I really do. I think Rick Steiner's a phenomenal athlete. But he sits there talking to Alex in the fucking ring, walking around the ring, putting his hand up to his ear, talking to his hand. Nobody else picked up on that, did you?
Know what? I didn't. I mean, I was more concerned with, Rick Steiner himself, because he just looked like a deer in the headlights. Like, he just didn't seem well aware of what the hell was going on.
Part of his character, but yeah. I also think he's got some of the best belly-to-belly suplexes as well.
Oh, without a doubt.
I always thought it was in... Oh, keep going?
Oh, no, I was going to say, even the interview that they conducted with Rick Steiner backstage, you could hardly understand what the fuck he's saying. He's just basically mumbling into the mic, and then going out into the ring, he's like looking up in the rafters, just barking away like, hoo, 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 hoo.
I will always take Rick over Scott 150%.
1000%. Fuck yes. I liked Scott when him and Rick were a tag team. And then, I got that Steiner's in Japan DVD, phenomenal fucking disc. And then when they came back, they were, you could definitely tell that Scott was doing the juice quite a bit.
Yep.
And then, he ended up doing the Big Papa Pump thing, and it was at a time where everybody needed a fucking character, like an over-the-top fucking character, and that's, the Big Papa Pump thing is just, I can't do that kind of shit. You don't look like a wrestler, you look like a fucking beach bum.
Well, do you remember his TNA years? Oh my god.
No, I don't, because I didn't watch TNA much. I just remember the Steiner math.
He got really good at math.
Dan, you remember the P.D. Williams and Scott Steiner team up they had going on?
I do remember that team, actually, even though I wasn't watching TNA that much, and I remember that fucking Steiner math promo thing.
They would put bags over people's heads. Good times.
It was just that bad, and the way that Steiner would try to calculate his math by doing these impossible math equations. All right, I think you need to lay off the juice now. I think you're good.
I just wish Rick Steiner was more in the limelight, because everyone knows Scott Steiner. Not everyone knows Rick Steiner.
I saw Rick and Scott recently on the High Spots gimmick table, the show they do on Thursday nights, and Rick just seems so down to earth and so normal, and and it's cool watching, guys like him, and then talking about his days in the NWA and WCW, where they don't necessarily talk about none of these guys necessarily really talk about the later days. It's like they're always talking about the 80s when they were doing this, the early to mid 90s. They never talk about the 99 to 2001 stuff. So it's pretty interesting. And Rick just looked. I've heard, I don't know if you heard a story about him however many years back. He was working an indie show and just decided to shoot on his opponent So it's just like you got pissed off at something. I was like, Jesus Christ! I was like, this guy's a dick. But I was like, but sometimes that kid could have did something to piss him off that made him do that. So that's the other thing.
And you know what? And Rick Steiner coming out to the match too with his belt on backwards, and I'm not even sure if he was aware of that.
Yeah, I loved it. So the Road Warriors and Tenryu are the 6-man tag champions. Is that correct? And they decided to take on. Well, it's supposed to be Sting, Michael Hayes, and the Junkyard Dog. What a fucking weird ass pairing. Junkyard Dog returning to the NWA. He would bounce in and out of the NWA/WCW for about the next 3 years. And they're trying to treat him like it was fucking, he was as popular as he was in 1984 when he first came in. It's just, he ended up winning the 6-man tag titles, I think, a year or two later with Tommy Rich, I believe, and is it Ricky Morton? I'm trying to think of the third guy.
Might have been. I can't recall.
Yeah, I don't remember 100%, but
I did. Oh, keep going. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Drake.
I wanted to get your guys' opinions on these 6-man tag titles because obviously,
I think it's a terribly underrated title. It's a title that's always never been featured heavily. It's like companies have them. Certain companies will have them. They bring them in, it'll last 6 months, 7 months, a year, and then next thing you know, it disappears. And it's just like, it ends up being one of those titles that are preliminary or pre-show type shit. You know what I mean? So it's nothing ever, anything. It's never, I think the only place that I've ever seen 6-man tag titles take seriousness was Japan.
I think a lot of the times with a 6-man tag match, it's either great or just dog shit.
See, I'm a sucker for I love tag team wrestling, but the 6-man tag, like, I'm kind of a sucker for it. There's something, because it doesn't happen that often. It's just something special that happens every so often. Usually it makes sense. But.
Well, one of my favorite matches is always the Survivor Series elimination matches.
That shit doesn't even happen barely anymore. But I'm talking about the earliest days,
Survivor Series is my favorite WWF/E pay-per-view of all time, ever. Like, that's always the one I look forward to, even if it's shit. This? Survivor Series? One? Just any Survivor Series. Like, that's always my WrestleMania,
Yeah.
Just because I love elimination matches. I'm a sucker for elimination. But,
mine is the Rumble, really, because you never know who's going to show up. Yeah. I mean, it's like the same roster over and over every year. So, it's like, there's never much change up in the roster or who's going to arrive. It's always the special appearances that I look forward to, like who the fuck is going to, who's it going to be? Have you guys ever popped for a special appearance in a Rumble?
Hurricane. Hurricane in 2018, because
Shane Helm's a phenomenal wrestler. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved Hurricane coming, and God, I've never been to a Rumble. That's kind of on my bucket list. I always want to go to a Rumble. Dan, you have any pops for Rumbles?
The only one I would consider having a pop for a Rumble was when AJ Styles made his debut back in 2016. Only because it was so unexpected, because you figured, like, he's probably going to start down in NXT. But then when the music hit, it's, kind of baffles me, because obviously the camera angle it's only focusing on Roman Reigns, and I'm sitting here like, who the fuck is this? And then AJ comes out and he receives like this big ovation, and it's like, I think that was probably like the only time I spit out my drink. But another Rumble pop I would probably have to say was the year prior in 2015, where they took place in Philadelphia, and the number 3 entrant was Bubba Ray. Yeah. And that was pretty cool, but I think it would have been better if Devon was there too. But obviously that didn't come about. But go ahead.
Real quick. I don't know about you guys, but seeing Edge come back, I think a lot of people saw it coming, but actually seeing it brought tears to my eyes. It did.
It's funny that you say that, because there was a lot of speculation But I didn't really know because he denied it because he said, "Oh my, I'm not cleared," yada yada. And I'm going to tell you, there was 2 times I popped. And they were both mentioned by you guys. So one of them was actually Edge because I really didn't expect it. Like, there's no way because he had, the injury, yada yada. And I was like, and he said he's somewhere else. I'm like, for some reason, I actually just fell for it. But as soon as it happened where it goes, "You think you know me," and the crowd goes nuts, I jumped up out of my seat and said, "Holy shit." The funny part about that was my wife goes, "Who the fuck is this?"
Oh God.
She doesn't watch wrestling, so it was fucking hilarious. But I was just like, "Oh my god!" And I thought that was, I thought it was very well done, and the fact that he didn't just go in, get annihilated, and leave like a lot of the legends come in just for that one spot. The
Yeah,
other was AJ Styles. Because it was all rumor that he was signing with WWE. There was no confirmation. He'd just come off a really successful run in Japan. I think he had returned to Ring of Honor for a brief period, or a match or two, if I'm correct. And then all of a sudden this music hit, and then I'm just like, what? And then the graphic came up on the screen. I said, holy shit. It's another moment.
Yeah.
I get looked over, and I just said, holy shit, it's true. And then she looks at me and goes, I have no idea who this is. I was like, no. Which I was like, no, anybody that watches WWE really didn't know who he was because the WWE audience is a bubble. So they're their own universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember when. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's cool.
Well, yeah, when Edge came out, I was like, oh, fucking good for him. But when he got his pyro, I was like, oh my god, I started tearing up, man.
He did too. He started tearing up. He looked
like he was
going to cry.
I don't think he expected the reaction he got.
That was possibly one of the loudest pops I've ever heard in professional wrestling ever, like legitimately. And I think that he was welcomed. Like, I don't think that he, like you said, he probably didn't expect the fans to go as crazy for him as they did.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a Christian Cage guy, but Edge,
Yep.
I'll always say, he's better as a personality, where I think Christian has more of an in-ring talent.
Yep.
But seeing Edge come back, having his moment, like, good for you. And I was there for Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 34 when he came back. And that was another one of those where I was just like, oh my God. I started tearing up, seeing him have his moment again. And it felt like that, coming out of retirement and just having your moment with the crowd.
Needless to say, we went from Clash of the Champions to 6-man tag team wrestling to the greatest Royal Rumble pops. Somehow. Anyways, the Road Warriors and Tenryu wrestled the Varsity Club to a double disqualification. I don't think the Varsity Club should have been able to have a match, considering that Sting, Hayes, and the other guy, JYD, were locked in the cage because of Kevin Sullivan. And it took him all of the match went 5 minutes and 53 seconds. It took him 5 minutes to find a bolt cutter somewhere in the building. So, yeah, that's pretty much the show. I thought it was probably a B-level show. It was basically like watching Saturday Night World Championship Wrestling on TBS.
Yeah,
that's the other thing is, like, in the background, I like the things hanging up that said NWA TBS. I always like those hanging up on the TV show background.
And you know what? Let me tell you too. Like the segment before the match with Sting, JYD, and Michael P.S. Hayes, it was like, you thought they acted like they were on PCP. Sting's just like, arr, arr, he's getting so fucking hyped up. I'm like, dude, calm down.
What is with why Michael Hayes? Michael Hayes just a few months earlier was teaming up with Jimmy Garvin in 1988 in the NWA, and then probably shortly after this, I believe, is it Clash 6 maybe? That Clash 6 or 7. So it's only a few months down the road at best that Buddy Roberts and Terry Gordy return, and Jimmy Garvin return, and they end up forming the 4-man version of the Freebirds.
Yeah. I mean, I would think they only use Michael P.S. maybe for the experience factor. Obviously, he's experienced with, 6-man tag teams, which, in my opinion, and, he practically invented the Freebird rule, if you think about it.
They did.
And given my thoughts on the 6-man tag titles, I have no problems with the 6-man tag titles. I just feel like when it comes to booking, it can be a little bit overwhelming just because you're not really sure where to put it on the card, whether you want to start it off on the card or actually have it involved in some type of storyline. But when you hear 6-man tag team titles nowadays, they practically sound extinct. I mean, the last time I've ever heard of 6-man tag team titles is when Ring of Honor introduced them probably like 2 or 3 years back.
Do they still have them in New Japan, correct? Freak? Would you know that?
I don't know that for a fact. I haven't watched New Japan in a little while.
Okay.
But my thing was with 6-man tag titles. That means you have to find, because it's easy to find 2 people who have chemistry together.
Right.
But it's a little difficult to find 3 people that have chemistry together and actually have legitimate competitive matches with another team that has 3 people that have chemistry together. So, like you said, it can be a little overbooked sometimes because maybe they're like, oh, these 2 teams of 3 people each can't really put on the show we need, so we're gonna throw in some wrenches there. So, I like the 6-man tag titles, but I don't think it would work today. I really don't.
I think it just depends. It's not going to work in WWE. Maybe NXT. We'll see. Well, don't come on. We can't doubt everything. Maybe not NXT on USA, but so.
Well, you know what? I think AEW would probably have a better chance just because of the amount of teams that they have going on in AEW.
After last night, I don't know, man. Talking about AEW.
We never gave a letter grade for that show. I was thinking about that today.
D. No, I'd have to go with a C, probably at best.
I would go with a D.
Yeah, I was going to think of D, but I can't do that to Thunder Rosa. And
oh God, you no, no, you can't be biased here. All right,
I am. I'm a huge Thunder Rosa fan, and I can't do that. And like I said, the tag team match, it went 30 minutes, and it just could have been better, So, I mean, not that it was a bad match, and there's 2 fucking gimmick matches just on the fucking main card. So, like, they're what's that word? Playing to the modern indie fan type viewer. You know what I mean? It's just I'm just not interested in certain things that they do. It's a fresh product. They got some really good stuff, but I can't watch all that gimmicky shit.
This is the reason why people make fun of wrestling. A mimosa match where you fucking have to throw somebody in a fucking mimosa. Like, it's retarded. That's what it is. Like, it's...
I can't sit there and defend professional wrestling to people. Like, my wife does not watch professional wrestling. She doesn't like it. But I'm just like, if you watch it, you might, if you watch it, you might get into certain things. But then I'll be sitting there, she'll be sitting with me on the couch, not necessarily even watching, but then there'll be something stupid like this. And then she goes, really? This is what you fucking watch? Like, that's kind of fucking, that does not feel good because it's just like at that point, you can't really necessarily defend professional wrestling with the fucking, the dentist fucking bullshit match or the whatever that fucking match was, the Mimosa Mayhem match and stuff like that. You can't, at that point, like anything you say to defend professional wrestling is completely and 100% invalid.
Well, see, my girlfriend's used to me complaining and just fucking in anger. And then
does she watch wrestling at all?
No, but I'll show her New Japan stuff. Like, her and I, we watched some of the Okada and Omega matches together.
Oh,
I think
by
I
the way,
should.
I don't
think
know
I
if I don't know if I expressed my disdain for Kenny Omega last night after his performance.
No, you didn't.
After I think that he gets a little bit of flack from Cornette.
Olivier.
After watching last night, I normally agree with Jim Cornette about 98% of the time, whether it be politics, but we're not going to discuss politics here, or whether it be professional wrestling. Last night, that all became 99% because of the fucking overacting, the Kenny Jazz Hands, the Kenny Olivier, all that stuff that he says. I couldn't deal with that guy last night.
But
it irked me. I don't even think I even referenced that last night or talked about how much I was kind of disappointed in, because I think he's a really good wrestler. He really is. Is he as good as the entire world will make him out to be? No, he's not fucking Ric Flair or Bret Hart. But
okay, my question to you is, because you have to look at it this way, he's just kind of phoning it in because he's mid-card. Do you think if Kenny Omega was on top, world champion, main event, do you think he would actually take it? Because it seems like he's not taking it seriously. Like he's
that's the other thing. It's like
he's just showing up for work.
Yes, I think you're right. He's, like you said, he's phoning it in. He was on top of the world in fucking Japan as a headliner, IWGP champion, and then he comes to the United States to wrestle. He's probably getting paid a pretty fucking penny. There's no doubt about that, because he's got, isn't he the Japanese booker or something like that, or the women's booker, division booker, or some bullshit?
Yeah.
So, but he wrestles mid card. Like he's not treated like the top tier talent like he was treated in Japan, and and I think that you can tell by his performance as well. I mean, for fuck's sake, he wrestled a sex doll, a fucking blow up doll, and he wrestled a fucking 9-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I got to say about that? Fuck you. You're mocking the business.
It is, yeah. But it's just like, it's hard to, like, it's difficult because I always used to defend Omega, but then when you bring up the sex doll and the 9-year-old girl, I'm like, you're right. Like, he's very divided. He can either put on a 5-star match, a 7-star match. I'm a Meltzer fan, so fuck you if you're not. If you want to fucking judge me for that, that's fine. But
there's a lot of people that judge people. They fucking hate Meltzer, but I've been like, we've had this discussion. I agree with what Meltzer has to say. I think I've been following him for close to 30 years. Alvarez as well.
Yep.
Even Wade Keller. People don't seem to give Wade Keller nearly as much shit either. But it's everybody's covering the same shit. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but I forgot where I was going with this. It's just, you're making a mockery of professional wrestling. Like, we don't need, Vince has already done that. But I'm just like, and then there's like people that actually, this shit is great. He's wrestling a blow up doll. It's like, you're fucking kidding, right? It's like, it's the most stupidest, corniest bullshit you'll ever want to see.
You know what? And I think you really got to look at it from your reputation as well, because obviously he's coming from a different country. Obviously, wrestling over in Japan, maybe he got like a different reception as something he would receive here in the United States. Maybe they're afraid, hey, maybe if he does become world champion and possibly, one of the top tier headliners of AEW, they're going to look back at his reputation and basically make him into a mockery.
Right. But why, shit, I forgot what I was going to say. Like, what company did that blow up doll take place in?
I don't know. I have never seen that footage personally.
I've seen it. Go on YouTube. You can watch the highlighted version.
I don't want to. I
don't want to either.
I don't want to. Yeah,
I've
seen
thing with the same thing with the 9-year-old girl. I remember my friend told me I had to see this. All right, this is hilarious, and I watch it. And I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, he's one of those guys that he gets into all sorts of Japanese wrestling. My buddy, he's a mark for Japanese wrestling.
Yeah.
So he'll buy like so many now DVDs or downloads, you know what I mean, or stream whatever, of all sorts of different companies. So it's just really bizarre. Like he just gets all like the weird stuff from out of there. And anything that looks like it's held in a bedroom with a ring and like two chairs, like of people watching the crowd, like that kind of shit.
But like I said, I showed my girlfriend New Japan because she's like, just show me the best. I was like, all right. So I showed her New Japan, and she was impressed by it. And her and I both went to the first AEW Dynamite in DC, and she was impressed by it. And it's just like, that's all she can probably get into is Japanese wrestling, which I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, that's the best wrestling in the world right now.
It's treated like an actual sport, and that's the thing that I like about it. Because the reason why I got into it is because it is a sport. They're men, they're athletic. They're women as well. They're athletic. They're athletes. Like someone like me, I can't fucking go out there and do this shit.
Mm-hmm.
I
couldn't.
Seriously, I couldn't. But it's like these guys are going out there, putting their bodies on the line to get injured. In New Japan, Japanese wrestling has always been a different breed. You know what I mean? So it just seems.
And part of it is.
Go ahead.
Part of it is the crowd. They respect it so much, and
they
good
treat
point.
It like you said, like I said, they treat it like it's an actual, like it's a sport, and like it's the national sport. Professional wrestling is taken very serious over there. The crowd sits there, and then when the match gets heated, then that's when they start flipping out and flipping shit. And I told you the only time that she actually ever reacted to any kind of wrestling on TV was was it the G1 last year? Was it Osprey and Okada match?
Yeah.
Was that the one? And when she started hearing the crowd go fucking crazy, then she actually looked up. Like, we're sitting in the bedroom, and she just actually looked up and was like, "Oh, what the hell's going on here?" So it was pretty interesting that it took that, that fucking match, a match of that caliber, to for them to pay attention to it.
I think Okada's my second favorite wrestler, modern.
My
second.
He's good. He's good.
Yeah, and I'd say Danielson's my favorite modern wrestler, but Okada, I can watch him all day, every day. And his matches with Omega, I thought they were great. I don't.
Excuse me.
I think they were a little overhyped, but I don't think it's the greatest match of all time. The fourth one they had,
Mm-hmm.
But fuck yeah, they're 5-star matches. I wouldn't go higher than that, but.
Do you subscribe to New Japan World?
I did at one point, yeah, and then money got tight, so.
Yeah, I actually cut off a couple different subscriptions recently. I don't subscribe to New Japan World, but
I didn't. Yeah, I regret not watching G1 this year. I didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe next year. But
yeah,
hopefully, I don't even know if they'll have a crowd by then. But
who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, to me, New Japan is the best wrestling in the world right now, hands down. No, there's no argument. Like, they are the best for me. If you say like NWA Power, I'll give you that. But
I love NWA Power, or NWA in general.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that new show that's starting up. Just 2 weeks from now? Was it NWA Primetime Live or Prime Live?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be an amazing show. I really do. The looks of it, I love Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, United Wrestling Network, and obviously the NWA, current NWA. I think it's amazing. So I'm really looking forward to the NWA starting up again.
Yeah. I would love to cover it on here if you wanted to.
I would love to. As soon as it starts up again, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
That's I'm looking to add the NWA to the list of ever-growing content that we have up here. I have something else that I want to throw at you, but I'll throw it at you off air after we're done here.
Okay.
So what else, Dan? Anything for you?
I mean, when it comes to like some of my favorite modern wrestlers, I just seize to watch anybody who just practically grabs my attention. I mean, if you want to talk about favorite modern wrestlers, I would probably have to say FTR. Just because they bring out
100%.
that only because they bring that old school aspect into the modern era. I mean, obviously they enhance it with stuff that you would want to see today rather than just some old fashioned limb targeting moves. But other than that, they're probably one of the greatest tag teams of this probably going on this decade. And obviously they made history winning the AWA tag team titles and being that first team to hold every single WWE title currently going into this promotion.
You said AWA.
AEW. You know what? I got a little bit excited. Kind of like old school aspects, but
that would be amazing if that happened.
I'm an
AWA fan, man, growing up.
It's special when Jim Cornette actually gives his approval for a tag team that's modern. I would
anything today. Yes, if anything today.
I would kill to see him manage the Revival or FTR. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I would kill to see that.
And then when it just comes to other current modern day wrestlers today, I would probably have to put AJ Styles on that list because obviously he's still going strong despite where he is. Despite where he is right now in storyline, obviously he's floating around in the mid card with
what is he doing?
I can't even answer that question.
He was part of the IC title run, but then I know there was something like he had contracted COVID, so I think he's sick. Yep. So I think that was somewhere down the line. And then honestly, probably two other favorites right now at the moment that I love watching. One is the new Impact World Champion, Eric Young. And another guy who hasn't received any proper development ever since being called up to the main roster, and that's Aleister Black.
I don't even know what's going on with him because I have not tuned into it.
They basically gave him the Rey Mysterio treatment, where basically he got his eye poked out, and now he's a full-fledged heel.
Has he been on TV lately?
He has. He just attacked somebody this past week. I forgot who. Just shows you I don't watch a lot of.
What kind of reporter are you?
Well, hey, I mean,
I always like
liquor with you, like actual liquor with you, freak.
Not right now. No, I'm on a budget, so I've just been drinking hard beer.
That's okay.
I'm pretty fucked up right now, though. So
I'm gonna do a shot, anyways.
You want? I have some steel reserves, so.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
But I was always a fan of Ricochet. I don't know what he's doing right now, but
I don't know what he's doing in there. I was just watching some of his stuff in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla like last week.
Yeah, what's he doing?
The last thing he did, he had a match with Ali on Main Event.
Mm-hmm.
Mustafa Ali?
Mustafa Ali.
Oh, he's back? Oh, I didn't know he was relevant still. All right.
If he's on Main Event, he's not relevant. Let's get serious.
Well, yeah. But wasn't he was supposed to be the hacker.
No offense to him.
He was supposed to be the hacker.
Was he really?
Yeah. From what I heard, at least. I heard him and Chad Gable were the rumored.
Chad Gable?
Yeah, Shorty G.
Shorty G? What? All right, whatever. I heard it was Dr. Claw. Yeah, nobody got that reference. God damn, I'm old. Jesus.
But all right. So
yeah, what's Ricochet? What's Ricochet doing?
Yeah, go back to that because yeah.
All right. Anyway, back to Clash of Champions. Turning back the hands of time here to 1989. Just to give a good look and insight on this pay-per-view, I mean, let's face it, the lone highlight of this Clash 5 was, the moment between Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat that is fondly remembered. I mean, despite all the lack of quality wrestling in this pay-per-view, Clash 5 actually did a good job of promoting the Chi-Town Rumble, as I said, and that followed 5 days later. And, I mean, at this pay-per-view, the Dragon downed the Nature Boy for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, and I believe they had their rematch at the next Clash of Champions, which was Clash 6.
6, yep, that was the best. 2 out of 3 falls. I tried showing my kid that match once, who he was a wrestling fan in the has to be 5 years ago. They just stared blankly, not understanding what to watch. Like what was so great about watching Flair and Steamboat. And I was like, how old? He was 14 now? So he was 9 at the time. So imagine trying to show a 9-year-old kid Flair and Steamboat, possibly one of the greatest wrestling matches of all time. It did not go too well. So everybody thought that I was fucking crazy. I'm like, this is one of the greatest. You're going to love this match. It's so awesome. And then everybody's like, can you put some CM Punk on now? Like, I was like, are you sure?
2 out of 3 falls is my favorite gimmick match of all time.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm okay with that. Yeah.
That and Iron Man. I think Iron Man would be up there too. But yeah, I actually wouldn't mind reviewing Chi-Town for the podcast.
I was gonna say, in 5 days. No, okay. I think we should definitely get to that because now I'm kind of excited to go and sit and watch this. I used to have the VHS version, which was severely fucking condensed compared to the pay-per-view. So,
what's the runtime on the VHS?
I think it was literally 2 hours. So they cut like about 45 minutes out of it. They might have.
Oh man.
They might have edited 1 or 2 matches out. But I remember actually ended up getting a copy of it on, from the pay-per-view feed from somebody at some point back in my tape trading days. So that's how old I am. I used to trade VHS tapes. So.
Did you? My question for you. This is really unrelated for tape trading.
Probably not. Yeah.
Did you ever have the Tom McGee and Bret Hart tape?
No. No, it's not irrelevant. First off, the tape trading, but
yeah.
No, I never knew about that until it was brought up. In the last few months, I never knew it was something that was so sought after. But I'm trying to think. I spent many years trying to find the last Battle of Atlanta. Never found it, and then 2-3 years ago, it ended up being put up on the network. And then I got so excited that I called my friend up. He goes, I don't know what match you're talking about. I was like, Tommy Rich and Buzz Sawyer, the fucking greatest match. It's supposed to be this really great fucking match and blah, blah, blah. He goes, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm just like, you're a fucking mark. So, there's a friend of mine that supposedly loved professional wrestling just as much as I did. But apparently, he liked it a lot less than I did. So...
Did you cut him out? You should cut him out.
Unfortunately, I still talk to him.
Uh-oh.
And had him. He was a guest on the podcast. He helped me review WrestleMania this year. Actually, it was before things. That's before things started really kicking into gear here. With probably, I think, a couple weeks later is when I met up with Dan, and then that's when we started doing this shit.
Yeah, WrestleMania
Probably
was the last. Yeah. That was the last pay-per-view I reviewed until I was like, fuck this, I'm done.
Until you met us, and then I made you review all this other garbage. Sorry.
Yeah,
I ruined your life.
Yeah, you know what? You did, because you made me watch the horror show.
Yeah, but after that, didn't we agree that we're not doing anything out of,
yes.
What's that thing called? The Big Four? Funny thing is, I was talking to another podcaster today. Was it 2-3 weeks ago, Dan, we had Duke Drosy on?
Yeah.
All right, so my buddy Mike, he had Duke on this weekend, his podcast. Go check it out on Spotify, Top Rope Report. And I said that we reviewed AEW's pay-per-view last night, and I said, and we just, we kind of trashed it. It was really a shitty pay-per-view. And his response is, everything we do is shitty.
Oh, man.
So I'm just like,
yeah,
Mike, I'm sorry, Mike, I love you, but I don't, and I was like, well, I like it. It's built for a different audience. You know what I mean? So it's getting over with certain audience. I mean, there's a lot of times AEW does a lot of great things I really, really enjoy. There's also probably the equivalent of things I don't enjoy from them as well. But it's a different product. It's a fresh product. You're not seeing the same people every week on TV. They give the rotation on their television is a little bit better than seeing the same fucking guys on SmackDown and Raw. So you picking it up, picking up what I'm putting down. You hearing me?
Well, I don't even watch Raw and SmackDown.
No.
I'll catch some AEW clips because, like I said, I work every Wednesday night. But if I was off, I would. Hell yeah, I'd watch AEW every night. You know?
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to me and me watching wrestling, I mean, I don't watch the current product unless, we're reviewing a pay-per-view. But, like, when it comes to certain things I watch, it's either going to be Impact. Once in a while, I'll watch some AEW, but I don't. I'll watch some Ruthless Aggression eras of Raw and SmackDown episodes. So you're talking about like 2002, 2003. And lately, I've been on my old, as Tommy Rick would say, WCW. Been on my WCW run lately. And
what era of WCW, if you don't mind me asking, before you?
Like the stuff we've been watching lately, 88, 89. And, I'll go up to 94. I'll skip 95 because 95 was a shitty year. And
95. Wow.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad, but then I'll go over to 96 and 97, which really kicked up the Monday Night Wars at that time.
Is it because of Scott Hall?
No.
You're a huge Scott Hall fan, right?
Listen, I think you're mistaking me for somebody else. I made a mistake. Sure? I'm sorry. Okay. Listen, he debuted when he was a diamond stud. I understand. I totally forgot about that. It blinked my mind.
It was even before the diamond stud. So, anyways,
all right. So I'm gonna have to do more research on that. My apologies.
That big ass bushy mustache that he had for whatever.
Yeah, he was AWA Tag Team Champions with Kurt Hennig.
Kurt Hennig. Yep. So, anyways, what I was gonna say is I like the WCW era. In 1989. It's still NWA at the time, up until about 91, 92. 93 is 93, 94 is 94 is a rough year.
Because
when Hogan comes in, and it's just Hogan started hiring his buddies, so it's like you're getting a lot of fucking goofballs coming in from the WWF, and they've all got the name changes, and it's just but 90, I think 93, 94, 93 is. It's weird, but I always like to look for the old syndicated shows, like Worldwide.
Well, 93.
Worldwide.
93 was basically 93 was basically going back to its original form, because obviously the return of Ric Flair after leaving WWE. And, around that time, I do like that time, actually.
Yeah,
but obviously,
I do too. I think there's a lot of really good stuff, but I don't think it really shines through the way it should, because there's a lot of ridiculous stuff. You know what was a tag team that I was thinking of that don't get enough credit that were in WCW around that time period was the Awesome Kongs as well, or Colossal Kong. Was it Colossal Kongs? Like two guys with masks. They had like fur on their. I think they were. If I remember correctly, they were popular. Like maybe they were in Global for a little while. I think they had some experience in Japan as well. But they weren't in there that long. But there's a lot of things that guys that would come in there for short runs and then just leave.
And I was also a big fan of WCW just because during like the Monday Night Wars, they had possibly the best division that was practically beating WWE in ratings for the past like 83, 84 weeks was the cruiserweight division. That basically like outshined all the talent that was practically on Monday Night Raw.
It was a colossal
throughout
Kongs. I'm sorry.
Colossal.
It was a colossal Kongs. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off. They were in there. I'm looking at something from July '93 right now. I remember they wrestled. I believe they feuded with Harlem Heat as well. So go ahead, keep going, Dan. I'm sorry to cut you off like that, bud.
But yeah, you know, just going back to like some of my favorite, you know, just WCW like shows.
Right.
Obviously, we had like the Hollywood Blondes, which is like one of my top tier favorite tag teams. One of my favorite feuds during the NWA days was the I Quit match between Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard inside, you know, best match of all time from Starrcade '85. That's probably like my favorite event from the '80s.
That's incredible. DVD for you frozen? Or are you just drunk?
I'm drunk, and I didn't hear a lot of that because I was about to piss my pants, so I had to go pee. I've had a lot. I'm the kind of person, I drink a lot really fast, so I get fucked up. But
yeah,
I'm still down in it. So yeah.
But yeah, you know, Magnum and Tully, they, you know, undoubtedly, like if nobody's ever seen that match, like missing out.
that was a great feud. I don't think we've gone back that far to cover anything here.
Which is something I want to do in December.
I'll go as far back as you guys want. The older the better.
We got video footage from 1905 of the NWA World Champion George Hackenschmidt.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Silence. Rick gets silence a lot on this fucking show. Jesus Christ.
There's actually a match on YouTube.
The oldest match ever recorded.
Yeah, I would love to review that. I would love to review that match.
Mm-hmm.
But
excuse me. Let's do it, freak. Let's do a little one-off. Let's do a little one-off side project, whatever.
Hell yeah.
A bonus micro content, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Dude, I'm down. I thoroughly enjoyed that match. So yeah. Let's do it.
So let's do it. Hit me up. I don't remember. I'm going to try to search for it, but if you remember what it's titled, even slightly, let me know.
I'll find it. I'll find it. Yeah.
What's the grade for this event, guys?
I'm gonna go with a C. I'm gonna go with a C wrestling wise, even though I did enjoy the majority of everything. But in promoting another event, I'm gonna go with an A. Promoting the big show that's coming up in just a couple days, I'm going to go with an A because I think it really got people into the Flair Steamboat thing. I think it really sold it really well.
Yeah, I think that's fair because I was going to say this pay-per-view doesn't really stand on its own because there's
nothing to take away from it. I'm sorry, freak. There's nothing to take away from it. Saying, "God damn, this show is known for this." That's the one moment that you could pick out for this match. I mean, to be honest with you, the fucking greatest match on the thing was probably fucking the Midnight Express and the fucking Assassins, or the Butch Reed and the Steve Casey. But did you know that Steve Casey was billed as being undefeated coming into this match?
Yeah.
Pretty crazy, right, to think about? Go ahead. All right.
You never guessed.
But I think I'd give this a C+.
Right.
I think the biggest takeaway for me is the Flair Steamboat segment.
It did a good job of building up for that show.
It's a hype show. So obviously it's not like an A show or anything, but like you said, for a hype show, you know, it gets a higher letter grade for that because this gets you excited. Like this is promoting at its best. So yeah, I'd give it a C+.
Okay.
I'll give it a C+ for the same reason. Obviously, with the angle between Flair and Steamboat that practically overshadowed the lack of quality wrestling that we got throughout the whole duration. And, it's just the plus sides of, promoting the pay-per-view, which really, it scored big time.
Right. Well, we're all pretty much in agreement on this. So we're going to have to go with the C-ish. C-ish.
Yeah.
No? All right. Yeah. So what else we got to talk about, gentlemen? Is there anything interesting that's happened to the last 24 hours?
Well, maybe not in the last 24 hours, but maybe in the next 2 weeks, Rick, as you recall, we will be doing our On the Road episode. Once again, as we go to M&J's video games and collectibles, as we meet the one and only Val Venus. I got something lined up for that when it comes to getting something signed. This will actually be the first item of this category, I guess you would say, getting signed, because I ended up picking up an action figure, which is something I never do. So it's like Rick slowly convinced me. Listen, not in a bad way.
My buddy Andy messaged me tonight saying that he's been buying too many autographs, and it's my fault because he's been watching all the videos that we do of unboxings with the autographs. So now it's my fault. But I even shot back with, hey, if I influence somebody, then I'm doing pretty good in my life. So sorry you're spending all your money, but
well, I got a couple more things coming within the mail this week. Obviously, that won't be tomorrow because it's Labor Day, and I'm pretty mad about that because the mail don't run on holidays.
I honestly didn't even think of that, so I was like kind of pissed off at that. But one of the things is that I don't think I'm getting anything for quite some time. I know like around the 13th, I'll be getting my newest Pro Wrestling Loot box. And there will be a Bobby Eaton item in there, so I'm really excited. I'm hoping it's an autograph, because Bobby Eaton does not have a lot of fucking merchandise, And Midnight Express is one of my favorite tag teams, so that I'm getting, and I'm probably be getting the High Spots mystery box at the end of the month, and I hope that that's not lame, because I was sorely disappointed with the last one that I received.
And also this week, I sent the DVD something, so he should be receiving that hopefully anytime this week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I don't know what day, probably like Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm assuming, but I don't know what it is, but I am thoroughly looking forward to that, and that's about all I'm getting. Someone's supposed to be sending me something, but he hasn't sent it yet, but we'll see what happens.
I got some stuff to send out to some people, to some of my buddies. I didn't forget about you guys. I'm lazy, and there just has not been a lot of time, so I got some other bullshit that I'm going to be sending out soon. So why don't we wrap this shit up?
All right. So, social media.
Oh, sorry. Dan's taking over. Go ahead, Dan.
All right. So, well, I mean, it usually starts off with me. I've seen the chain going on lately, but all right.
All right.
Social medias. Danny Bryant on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at @the_Banshee187. And you can find me on Twitter and YouTube at DanTheBeast94. Oh, what the fuck was that?
You're not even drinking. What the hell?
You're the sober one tonight, man.
All right. DanTheBeast94 on Twitter and YouTube. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Especially if you're watching my channel or going to be watching my channel and you're not subscribed. What are you doing? Hit that button. Don't you forget it.
Yeah, DVD Freak on YouTube. Blah. Fuck social media. So, yeah. DVD Freak on DVD Freak on Twitter. The DVD Freak on Instagram. So, yeah, I'm not too active. I'm very active on YouTube, but that's about it.
And if you're really bored, you should go subscribe to the Pro Wrestle Zone Podcast YouTube page. Like, share, subscribe. Harass your friends to like, share, and subscribe. You know, all that shit. Or we'll harass you to like, share, and subscribe as well. Send us an email, prowrestlezone@gmail.com. Send us your hate mail. You can reach me.
We should have a hate mail episode.
That we should. You can reach me, the Rick Del Santo, on the Twitters and the Instagrams. Those are both the two platforms I'm the most active on. And that's pretty much the deal. Folks, take care. We got a huge week coming up. Apparently we just added some sort of bullshit. I don't even remember what. So we'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody.